My name's Naomi Farrelly and I'm your presenter, and I'm joined today by Avril on tech support.
Hello.
Hey Av. So why am I presenting this webinar today? So I have 20 years experience working in the tourism industry and have worked with numerous tourism products to develop distribution plans to help them to grow their business. So some housekeeping before we begin. Your video and audio has been disabled for the presentations. The sessions are going to be recorded and will be sent to everyone who has registered as part of the follow-up from today. This follow-up will also include the presentation slides as well as some additional resources for you. We're going to welcome you to revisit the recording yourself and to share it with your friends and colleagues to watch on demand. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat box, which you'll find at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And we're going to collate them at the end of the webinar and go through them at the end if we have time. If you've got any technical issues, likewise, just use the chat box at the bottom and we'll respond to you directly. So for now, I'm going to turn off my video and we'll get started with the presentation. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to break down distribution for you. We're going to cover what is distribution. We're going to talk about why working with distribution partners is important for your business. We're going to talk about commissions and why you should pay them. We're also going to talk about how to work with distribution partners and really maximize the relationship that you have with them. And we'll cover off how you go about choosing the right distribution partners for your business. We've only got 20 minutes, so really I just want to give you today an understanding of some of the key principles and concepts that you need to consider when you start to think about working with distribution partners. As I said before, we're going to share the resources with you, so you'll have some more details so you can keep learning after today's session. So what is distribution? So distribution essentially is all the channels through which a customer can buy your product. So it's really the process of marketing and supplying products through various channels. And when we think about it, we have a distribution plan that really should focus about spreading your product through the marketplace so that a large number of people can buy it. So it's really about extending your reach. So to do that, we need to work with different distribution channels. And a distribution channel essentially is a chain of businesses or intermediaries through which a good or service passes until it gets to the end consumer, to the customer at the end of the day. So if you think about consumer goods, and maybe like say your favorite packet of chips, I'm a salt and vinegar kettle chip kind of girl. When I need a snack, there's a few different ways that I can go about getting my chip fix. I can go to the supermarket and grab a packet. I could drop it in at the service station, or maybe I could get them from a vending machine, for example. There's a number of easily accessible ways that I can get my fix. But the chips don't go straight from the chip factory into my hands. They're going to pass through a number of businesses along the way. So they go from the producer, the chip factory, then they generally go to a wholesaler, which buys them in bulk, and then we'll pass them on to the retail partners. So that might be the supermarket, so it could be Coles or Woolies or my local RGA. It could be the local service station, the vending machines, and all those other places that you can buy chips. And then when I'm hungry, off I go, get my packet of chips as the end user and make my purchase there. So the same thing happens in travel. There's a distribution system and distribution partners that you can work with who will market your product and sell your product to customers, making it more visible in the marketplace. And the more visible your product or experience is, the more likely it is to be booked. That makes sense, right? If more people can find you, there's more chance that customers are actually going to book you. So in the world of travel distribution, there's a really structured global international distribution system, which might be something that you want to look at working with into the future when international travel returns. But for now, for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to really focus on local and domestic distribution channels. Why? Because traditionally businesses should build a strong domestic base first, build that bread and butter business in the local market before you start to diversify into the international market. And also, as we know, international travel is currently on hold. So growing our domestic business from existing and new markets really has to be our focus. The fundamentals are the same though. So if you can really nail working with domestic distribution partners, you're going to be ready to start to work with international travel distributors when the market returns, if it's something that is right for your business. So in the domestic space, who are the domestic travel distributors? So to think about this, think about where your bookings come from at the moment, or think about also when you go traveling, how you book travel. Most likely you already might be working with some distribution partners. There's traditional partners that you might be familiar with. And there's also, you know, in the world of digital disruption, which is impacting all areas of our lives, we're seeing some new distribution partners come on board, and they're changing all the time. And when we're traveling domestically and internationally, we can use distribution partners to make our bookings prior to arrival in a destination or after. So I'm going to work through all the different partners that we might work with in the domestic space. As we go, you might want to jot down the ones that you are already working with, or think about some that you might like to target to work with into the future. So firstly, we look at direct bookings. This is really important. The bookings that come directly to you via either your website, or it could be in person, with people coming directly into your business, or over the phone. Then from there, most businesses will generally start to work with a booking agent. So that locally could be, depending on where you are, your visitor information centre. Some do take bookings and some don't. It could be local accommodation, especially if you're a tour operator or an experience provider. Accommodation often makes bookings for experiences for their guests. It could be a booking centre. In some destinations, there's booking centres that will make bookings for a range of different things, from accommodation through to experiences. It could also be a retail travel agent, so a Flight Centre or a Hello World. We know the major travel agency brands. People do still use travel agents for domestic travel bookings, and we are likely to see an increase in this as, like you, travel agents need to look to the domestic travellers to start to sustain their business. So travel agents are important. There's also specialist distribution partners. So if you think about some of the niche areas that you might work in, and some niche markets that you might attract, it could be weddings. You've got sites like Wedshed and Easy Weddings, professional conference organisers, coach tour operators, and accessible travel providers. Social media and online listings are also part of our distribution system. So we would all know the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse and TripAdvisor as sources for bookings that can actually link through to your booking platform. Now you can also make bookings through Facebook directly, and there's a new site that's popped up through Google called Google Reserve, which actually connects through to distribution partners as well. And the one that we're probably most familiar with, we've really seen great growth in over the past few years, is the online travel agent. So we've got accommodation sites like Expedia, Airbnb, and Booking.com. We've got sites that are specific to experiences like Viator, Get Your Guide, and Red Balloon, and Adrenaline.com. And there's also now restaurant sites as well, like The Fork, that are popping up. So there's lots to choose from, and it's really important that you identify which are the right ones for your business to work with. So why would you work with distribution partners? Let's start with that, the why. Essentially, working with the right distribution partners is going to extend your reach. It's going to make your business more visible and enable you to reach customers way beyond what you could on your own. It'll allow you to reach new customers and markets. It will provide a regular business for a broader market base. So if you think about these distribution partners, they've all got their own customer bases, so you're reaching more people. By working with distribution partners, you can also get important feedback on your product, around your product offering and how you could tailor it for a particular market. It's going to help you to expand that sales team. So generally speaking, tourism businesses, we're small operators, we might just be 1 or 2 people. If we're lucky, we might have some staff that can be out doing sales for us. But by working with distribution partners, they've got their own sales and marketing departments as well, so you can tap into those. And ultimately, it's going to start to create a billboard effect for you as well. So what we mean by that is, if you think about how customers are planning and booking their travel, we know that the average traveller looks at 22 travel-related websites across 9 online research sessions when they're planning their trip. So they're looking at lots and lots of different places. And if you're working with distribution partners, your product will come up in more and more places when those travellers are researching. So it's going to create awareness of your product. They might choose to book by those distribution partners, or they may also come and book with you directly. So it's really about, that big billboard effect, about shouting out your messages through as many channels as you possibly can. And we all run on a pretty lean marketing budget in tourism, especially at the moment. So working with distribution partners is really a low-cost way to start to amplify your sales and marketing efforts. So what is the cost for working with distribution partners, I hear you say? Well, the cost is commission. And I know commission, when I say that, when I run workshops around this, a lot of times it's the point where people's eyes start to glaze over and say, well, why should I pay commission and give people some of my revenue? Well, let me talk you through commissions and the reasons why you should be paying them. Commissions essentially are the fee that you're going to pay to a distribution partner. So whether that be the inbound tour operator, if you're working in the international space, your wholesaler or your specialist agent, the retail agent, the visitor information center, or the booking agent that's made the booking for you, whoever they are, it's the fee that you pay to them to market, distribute, and sell your product on your behalf. Essentially, it's their income. They're a business as well, and that commission helps to pay for their operations and the services that they provide to your customers. So it's important to consider when we talk about commissions that it's a marketing cost, but unlike advertising, it's a cost that you only pay when you actually receive a booking. So unlike putting an ad in the paper and waiting for the phone to ring to take the booking, you've paid for that ad up front. When we talk about commissions, you're only making that payment to your distribution partner when there is actually a bum on your bed. So that's a really important consideration to think about. And when we think about commissions, and I'm going to talk through the levels of commissions you should be paying, it's important to think about them as part of your overall marketing mix, so that you're going to have a number of different distribution partners, and we need to think broadly about where those bookings are coming from. So I'll talk through about what that means in more detail too. So if you look at these commissions, there's some standard commission levels that we operate on in the travel industry. So these are a guide for you. They're not set in stone, and it's important to remember that depending on the type of your business and the type of agent or distributor that you're working with, there may be an opportunity to negotiate on rates as well. So it's important when you start to work with distribution partners to ask some questions and really understand how they work and the expectation of commission that's coming from them. So when we look at the retail travel agents or local booking agents, generally speaking, we're looking at around a 10% commission. If you're working with that wholesaler, maybe a coach group company or a specialist distributor, you're looking at 20% commission. Online travel agents vary, but they usually sit at around, on average, 20% commission. And if you are looking at the international space in the future, you'll be looking at 25 to 30% commission when you work with an inbound tour operator. And when I say that 30%, that's usually when, again, the eyes glaze over and people just start to walk out of the room in a workshop. But let me talk you through that. 30%. It's important that you build that into your pricing structure as you go, and there'll be some. Think about how you can build that into the structure. Don't add it on top. That 30% actually feeds down a distribution channel as well. So there's great reach that you can get by paying that 30% commission. And as I said before, it's important to think about it as part of your marketing mix. So the aim isn't to get all of your bookings coming through distribution partners. You're going to have a bit of a mix of booking channels. So this chart, and I'm going to urge you to come back and have a look at this chart again, because there is a lot of information on here, but I think usually it's where people start to really understand commissions and how they can work in their business. So if we're looking at a mix of different partners in our business, if we've got a product that we're selling for a gross rate, so that retail rate that we're selling to the customer for of $100, and the net rate, if we're selling that direct, of course, the amount of money coming to us is $100, and 50% of our business comes directly, we're not paying any commission on that. Then if we're looking at different distribution partners, so we've got retail booking agents, for example, that we're working with, who might bring us 10% of our business and give us a net rate of $90 in our pocket. Those wholesalers or the specialist agents that we work with that might also take that commission of 20%, they're bringing us 20% of our business, and we're getting that net rate of $80. And then the online travel agent might also bring us 20% of the business, where again, we're getting that net rate of $80. If we even that out across all of our business, the average commission level that we're paying across all of our bookings is 10%. So we're not saying when we're paying a commission level of 20 or 30% that needs to apply to every booking. You need to really think quite broadly across where all of your business is coming from and average that out. So on average, most people are looking at an average commission across all of their distribution channels of around 10%. And people often say to me, well, why should I give, these distribution partners any of my revenue at all? It's my business and I've worked for it. Well, they've actually worked for it as well. So, these distribution partners, particularly the online travel agents, especially, and some of the specialist agents that you work with, have really sophisticated sales and marketing machines that sit behind them. And they're doing that marketing on your behalf, and you're really only paying them a small amount per booking when they come through. They're also bringing you business that perhaps otherwise you might not have had. So in this scenario, for example, through our distribution partners, it's an extra $4,100 of bookings or revenue that we've received for a cost of commissions of $900, which is a pretty good return on investment. And if we weren't working with those distribution partners, we may not have received that additional revenue. So it's important to think about that opportunity cost of not working with distribution partners too. So that's a little bit about the why, but now what about the how of how you work with distribution partners? So when we're working with distribution partners, firstly, it's important to remember that it is a partnership and you really want to build a good relationship. So to do that, you need to start by doing a lot of the things that we should be doing in great tourism businesses anyway. You need to deliver a really quality product or experience for your guests when they're coming into your business. You need to be reliable and efficient in your business operation. So have good systems and processes and be consistent in what you deliver. Provide a high level of customer service for your guests when they're coming into your business. Really look at ways that you can wow your guests and give them a really good experience. Have consistent pricing policies in place. You need to make your communication seamless when you're talking to your customers, but also your distribution partners. Have good processes in place so they've got really clear communication, and be responsive to feedback and reviews. So these are things that we should all be doing in our businesses anyway. This is going to be a good first step to starting to work with distribution partners. Then the next thing that we want to look at is to make sure that we're what we call distribution ready. And to be distribution ready, there's a few things that you need to do in your business. You need to understand those commission structures that we were talking about, and the concept of net rates, which is the amount that you get paid, and the gross rate, which is the sell rate for the product. So I'm going to urge you all to go back to some of the resources that we share and come back to the slides and really look at the commissions and get to understand how commissions work. You want to make sure that you structure your rates, as I said, to allow for those commissions. So you build it into your pricing, you don't stick it on the top. So you need to look at how you build your rate structure and make sure that you allow for those commissions. You need to have consistent rates across all booking channels. So make sure that you're not tacking it on top and making it more expensive for a customer to purchase by a certain online travel agent. We need to make sure that our rates are consistent. Distribution partners will ask for this, and they call it rate parity, to make sure that we're providing that same rate across all channels. That's not to say that you can't offer discounts in your businesses and look at ways of, value adding potentially for your customers that are booking directly with you. But as a rule, you should make sure that you've got rate parity across the board. You need to understand those different types of distribution channels that we talked about at the beginning. Know what they are and how they work and how you can work with them. And importantly, you need to have some systems and processes in place in your business to enable you to work with distribution partners. One of the key things, particularly if you're going to work with any online travel agents, is to have an online booking platform. So we should all have online booking platforms in our businesses these days anyway. The consumer expects that to be able to book online directly with you. And that online platform should integrate with your website, but also have the ability to integrate with the distribution partner's website. If you don't have an online booking platform set up in your business, as part of the resources from today, we will share with you some tips about how to go about choosing an online booking platform and the things that you need to consider when choosing one, and some different sites that you can look at that could provide that solution for you. You also need to consider, once you start to work with distribution partners, having an inventory management system of some sort, or a channel manager. And this is something that's going to help you to avoid double booking, and we've all had that in our tourism businesses, right, where you've accidentally double booked somebody. So if you have an inventory management system or a channel manager, and there are platforms through different online booking systems that can help you to do that, that's really going to help you to avoid any of those double booking situations and make it much easier for you to work with distribution partners. So what distribution partners should you be working with? Well, it should always come back to your customers. And, you know, in the marketing webinar, we talked about knowing your customers and speaking directly to them through your marketing activity. Distribution is an extension of your marketing activity. So the customer has to come first. You need to speak to your customers where they are and where they're looking for information when they're planning their holidays and their travel. So to do that, you need to ask yourself some questions. Who are your ideal customers? Who are those people that you want to attract into your business? Where do they come from geographically and also online? Where are they researching travel? How do they book their trips and experiences? So what platforms are they using? Where are they researching? So are they using those online travel agents to just research and get some ideas about costing and then booking directly with you? Are they booking through a retail travel agent? Are they a niche market that's really using one of those specialist providers because they know they'll provide expert advice? You need to start to ask yourself these questions. Ask your customers these questions and do some research. Think about what platforms they're using. So when you've got customers in your business, you can ask them some of these questions. What platforms are they using? And think about yourself when you're traveling as well. What platforms are you using? Start to do some research, and that's going to help you then to go out and find the right platforms for your business. But really, ultimately, you want to make sure that those platforms are the ones that are connecting to your customers. Customers need to be the top of the mind. So then when you've done that research, you need to start to create a bit of a targeted plan. And, you know, as I said before, there's so many distribution partners out there and new options popping up every day. So you really need to take the time to find the ones that are the right fit for your business. Take a staged approach, you know, step into distribution slowly. Don't go out and suddenly list with 100 new different sites. Take a staged approach and start with a few partners that really speak to your ideal customers. Build a relationship with them, get listed with them. And then once you've got a few up and running, you might want to add some more. To work with your partners, it's important that you consider them as long-term partners and build relationships and trust. You need to keep them up to date with current information and rates about your business, and make sure you're keeping them up to date with what's going on, any changes in rates and any changes to your product as well, so that they can make sure they're providing the correct and current information to their customers. And like anything that we do, whether it's marketing activity or anything else, we need to track and monitor what's happening and look at the data, look at the bookings that are coming through and know where they're coming from. You can always go back to your distribution partners if you aren't receiving any bookings and ask them for feedback. They might suggest maybe that your price point isn't right, or that maybe you need to tweak your product or your marketing material to attract the customer. So ask for feedback and track and monitor where your bookings are coming from as part of your plan. So that's a very quick overview of distribution and how to build your distribution plan. So to recap on what we've talked about, distribution is important because it extends your marketing reach, and working with a range of partners creates that billboard effect and provides exposure for your business, which is very low cost. And the cost of working with distribution partners is that commission, which is the fee that you pay when a distribution partner books your product or experience. Remember that you only pay it when a booking is made. When you're thinking about working with partners, you really need to understand that commission and build it into your pricing structure. When you start to do your plan, you know, remember there's no one size fits all approach to distribution. Every business is different, so make sure you take some time and research and build a plan that suits your business and your needs. And finally, don't set and forget. You know, choose the right partners, track and test and learn. It's also important, you know, that you keep a record of the distribution partners that you're working with so that you can keep them up to date. I've often worked with businesses that suddenly out of the blue, they get the booking from some distribution partner that they might have listed with 12 months ago and forgotten about, or perhaps the previous business owner has listed with them and, you know, they have no record of it. Keep a record of who you're listed with so that you can make sure that you can keep your information up to date and also know exactly where your bookings are coming from as well. So from today, from the webinar, to help you to continue to keep learning, you're going to get the presentation slides as well as a video recording. We'll also share a link with you as part of the follow-up, which will come out in an email tomorrow, a link through the Tourism Export Toolkit. And this is an excellent guide, which is available through Tourism Australia. It is designed specifically for the international market, but a lot of the fundamentals and the principles are the same. So it's really going to help you, that guide, to understand commissions, and goes into a lot of detail around how to work with distribution partners. For We'll also share a little cheat sheet about how to choose a booking platform. So those considerations that you need, the things that you need to think about when selecting a booking platform that's right for your business. And the other resource that's available to you is your tourism organisation. So depending on where you are, you might have a local, regional or state tourism organisation that might be able to help you with information about distribution and how to work with distributors. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone or drop them an email and get in touch if you've got questions. And of course, we're always here to help as well. So they're my details. So if you do have questions, we'll go through some now. I can see we've got some popping up in the chat box. We do have a couple of quick minutes to go through some questions. And if we don't get to them all today, we'll also come back to you via email to get you the answers to those questions. So Avril, do we have any questions?
We certainly
there on the chat box?
Yes, there's a few in the chat box. I just first want to go back to and touch on opportunity cost. And you mentioned, you know, the opportunity cost for being with a distribution partner and without. So can you elaborate a little bit on that point? And, you know, how much marketing dollars, if you didn't go with a distribution partner, would you have to spend to leverage and get the same or a similar result?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Av. So I think the best way that somebody described it to me once was it's hard to put a dollar amount on how much extra you would have to spend to get the same results. But I guess you've got to think about the customer at the end of the day and how they like to book or how they like to spend. So somebody once explained it to me like, if you're a retail business, if you're a shop and you choose not to have a credit card machine and only take cash payments, because you don't want to pay, just like travel, there's a commission that you pay for having a credit card machine in your business or being able to take electronic payments. How many customers are actually going to walk out of your shop because they don't have cash? And card is their preferred way of payment. So it's really hard to put a dollar amount on it, but you just need to think about the customer themselves and the way that they prefer to book their travel. And for most people these days, that is online, and it's online in a lot of instances through a distribution partner. So I guess it's that exposure that you're getting through working with them that can not only lead to a booking through the distribution partner, but through that billboard effect can also create awareness that might be driving direct booking to your business as well.
I think that's a really good answer. Thank you. And then a specific question around, we may have to come back to you, Marg, but what does Booking.com and Expedia and Stays charge from a commission perspective?
From a commission perspective, I think that varies. So they're probably a little bit different. So we might come back to you with specifics on that and where you can find those specific details around the commission levels, because sometimes they do vary dependent on the size of your business and the type of property that you have. So we can come back to you to answer those questions specifically.
Yeah, great. Okay. And there's another one here. Why is it that Trivago offer different rates for the same product? I think that one's sort of more referring to Trivago is a comparison website as opposed to being a distribution partner. So it pulls data from all over the internet. So I guess the question is about rate parity in how does Booking.com versus Hotels Combined, for example, show different rates?
How do they show different rates? That's a really good question. And particularly in the accommodation space, it's often asked. So the reason why they do that is because when you work with these distribution partners, so you're right, Trivago is a comparison site. So it goes out and looks at all the different sites and brings them in. And there is agreements that they might have behind the scenes where you provide a net rate to the distribution partner. So you say to hotels.com, for example, that your net rate is $100. So that's the commission, that's the rate that you want to get paid, but your sell rate would be on that, say $125 for that same room if you add the commission on top. So that's what you want them to be selling for. What they will sometimes do to get their sale is they will actually take less commission. So you should still get the same net rate in your hand. They will sell it for a lower rate. So that means that they're getting less money to create that better deal and convert the booking. Which, you know, I know a lot of people have issues with that, but they're essentially, it is the distribution partner that's missing out on the commission. It's not you that's missing out on the commission.
Great.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yes, thank you. And then we've got just a couple more. can you suggest some channel managers?
So channel managers will really depend on what sort of business that you are in. So quite often through your online booking platform that they might already have that built in. So there's sites like Little Hotelier and Lodgify in the accommodation sector, and SiteMinder that will provide channel management services for you. In the tour sector, if you're using a platform like Resty, for example, or most of the online booking services like Fair Harbour, Zowie, Booking Boss, there's a range of them, and they're all listed, a lot of them on our resource that we'll share tomorrow. Most of those will provide you a channel manager through that online booking platform as well.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. Two more. So Wedshed. What does Wedshed do? Well, I can answer that one for you, Marg. Wedshed is a distribution platform as well for companies who have wedding supplies and venues, etc. There's no commission. You don't pay a commission on Wedshed, but you do pay a monthly subscription to be listed there. So if you need any more clarification or any other questions on that one, just let me know. And the last one, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I didn't mention it, that sometimes those specialist providers, they don't charge a commission, but they will have a monthly fee. So it's really important that you ask the questions of your distribution partner before you sign up with them, just to be really clear on what their cost structure is and how they work.
Sure. Yeah, that's important. Okay. And so last question, top 5. If you could maybe give some, or top 3, but I guess one point to mention is ATDW is free for New South Wales businesses and currently free across the board. That is a really powerful distribution partner for all tourism businesses. But are there any others, or you can elaborate on the ATDW point too if you like, but are there any others that you think are worth looking at first?
That's a really good question too. It's going to really vary from business to business. I do think ATDW is key for all tourism businesses because it is that platform that has the marketing power of your state tourism organisations behind it. So they're driving traffic to that site. And for the bookings, generally speaking, you can actually drive that booking directly back to your website. So there is no commission that you'll be paying on that booking or a referral through from ATDW. My best suggestion for businesses just starting out is to start to look at some of those online travel agents. So some of the hotel sites, if you're in the accommodation sector, and they're going to vary depending on what sector you're in as well. So it could be Airbnb or home away for lodging type sites, or, you know, your bigger sites like hotels.com and booking.com, and just do some research on how they work. And then in the attraction sector, it's really growing in that online travel agent space as well at the moment. So there's Viator, Get Your Guide, and Expedia Local, part of the Expedia family, the main ones. So they're a really good starting point to get started in distribution. And the reason why online sometimes is the best starting point is because you can get loaded quite quickly and start to see some conversion quite quickly from online partners as well. Whereas if you're working with retail agents, for example, or as part of a specialist group, it might take you a little bit longer to get loaded and up and running in those platforms. So online's always a good starting point, those OTAs.
Fantastic. Okay, we're getting over time now, so that's it for today. If anybody else does have any other questions, please reach out to either Naomi or myself, and we'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you or clarify any other things that you need help with. But thanks so much for everybody for attending, and thank you, Naomi, for a fantastic presentation. And we'll be sending out the resources for you all shortly in the next 24 hours.
Great. Thank you, Ab, and thank you everyone for your time to participate today. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Gnomes. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.